Pete Francis here with Blues Rock Review, and I'm joined by Magnolia Boulevard, and we just mentioned them on our new artists you should know. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing fantastic, man.
And why don't you guys introduce yourselves first?
Go ahead, Gregg.
I'm Gregg, Erwin. Try to play guitar.
And I'm Maggie Noelle. I am the lead singer and I play rhythm guitar.
Yeah, and you guys are definitely an exciting new band. Tell us how you guys came together.
Oh, I feel like there's so many different versions of this, but I used to play in a acoustic band, and I had heard of Gregg's name in our local scene, and the band that I was with, we were playing a little show at a local bar called Al's Bar, and on the backside of their beer garden area, they had a little singer-songwriters group. And after my show was over, I hopped over there to check it out, and Gregg was there playing. He was the only one that wasn't singing. He was just playing his guitar. And I told my fiance, I was like, who is this guy? I would love to play music with him, try to see if he's free. And it took a couple of months for me to get up some gut to ask him if he was working on any projects or anything, and wanted to see if he wanted to get together. And he was super stoked about it, because I think I had went over my vision of what sound I was shooting for, and he was totally game. So from there, we brought in our friend Todd Copeland, the drummer, who also knew Gregg as well. And I think Gregg and Todd kind of went from there to pick out the other two members. You want to chime in on that, Gregg?
Yeah, it was it was a chance meeting, in all facets. I think, like Maggie said, I'll keep this short, not to be long-winded, but I moved to Lexington in winter of 2016, and I was just staying with a friend, had plans to save some money and move to Atlanta, as it's, excuse me, it's something I've always wanted to do, and have some friends and family down there. But man, a couple months into it, I was just dying to play, and a friend of mine turned me on to that singer-songwriters thing. And so I rolled a super reverb in there and my electric guitar, and I played I think 2 songs that I had written, 2 compositions, and then just swinged the rest, and ended up playing slide with everybody that was there. But anyways, what was crazy about it, the way that Todd and I met, there was this bar that is unfortunately closed now, called Cosmic Charlie's here in Lexington. And it had snowed. This was, I guess, in early 2017, January maybe. Actually, it was in January. But anyways, the National Touring Act, it was a decent snow. They had to cancel that night, so a mutual friend of ours just kind of threw a band together, and he called. So I went and played, and as luck and fate would have it, Todd was there as well. So Todd was the drummer. He and I had finished setting up our gear first. So Todd looked at me and said, play something. And I just played the first thing that came to my mind, and it was obviously Allman Brothers inspired, but the first thing that came out, and it's kind of coincidental and crazy, the first thing that came out is the is the riff to a song of ours called Ride. So that was the first thing Todd and I ever played together. So it's kind of crazy, but anyways, as soon as Maggie reached out to me, you know, I immediately had fell in love with Todd's playing. He and I have this thing. He's very, very easy to play with, you know, just to syncopate with, you know, his syncopation is just, it's incredible. And where I don't use a pick as a guitarist, I'm more of a percussive player, you know, so it works well with a drummer like that. You know, he's a finesse drummer. He's got the meat and potatoes, the meat and bones in him too, but he's more finesse. But anyways, as soon as Maggie had reached out to me about that, I had immediately thought about Todd. And the crazy thing about it, I think the night before she reached out, she had talked to Todd and they had talked about it. So it was like we were all thinking the same thing without discussing it first, you know. And actually, Maggie and I still hadn't even met. The first time we met in person was our first rehearsal. But a few days after that, excuse me, a few days after Maggie reached out and I started talking about it, got the ball rolling. I'd done a gig with at another place here in town, just filling in, setting in with some friends, and Ryan Allen, our keyboard player, was playing keys. And at the time, he was really busy, and he said, you know, I really like this play, and he had only been playing keys at this point for maybe a year or so, but you could tell that it was there, and I just dug his vibe, man, and told him, you know, it was like, hey, you know, we're getting this band together, really need a keys player, would you be interested in doing it? And as I said at the time, he was busy with, gosh, 3 or 4 different bands. And he later told me that he had to really think about it. And at first, like, you know how it is this day and age, you know, you meet someone, if you're asked to play with them, you immediately go to YouTube or see what you can find on whatever platform, you know. And anyways, he said that he thought about it for a few days, and it was on a Thanksgiving, I believe, or it was maybe Christmas, that he had called me back and was like, yeah, man, I'm totally in. And we had the original bass player ended up not working out for the best, and we picked up one of Todd's really good friends, John Roberts. And man, as soon as John came in, it grabbed another gear, so to say. It took it to another level, and immediately just worked, you know. And plus, Todd and John had prior experience playing together as well. They had played in a band, I forget the name, but they had played in a band for several months or a year or so off and on. So they knew each other's playing. So, man, once John came in, it was just like that, you know.
Yeah, and Maggie, you have some company there too.
Yes.
Is that a member of the band as well?
She might as well be. Yeah. This is Evelyn. Say hi. She's going to be shy.
So tell me a little bit about your influences.
For me, I'm kind of a mutt. I pull a lot of different things from different artists. I grew up listening to bluegrass, and you know, I feel that I've taken a lot of, you know, harmony and key and stuff like that from old gospel music as well. But my mom was pretty adamant when I was younger about teaching me all about classic rock. So it really varies, but definitely influenced by Bonnie Raitt, Aretha, Nina Simone, Susan Tedeschi, John Prine. I mean, the list goes on and on. But as I said, I'm a little bit of a mutt.
What about you, Gregg?
Oh man, the first and foremost, the Allman Brothers Band, hands down. Essentially every lineup of that band except in the 80s. It was horrible. But that's why they took like a 9-year hiatus. But anyways, the Allman Brothers Band, of course, Jimmy Herring, man, ARU, Aquarium Rescue Unit, all those guys, man. The Burbridge Brothers, the Wooten Brothers, the Flecktones, just all over the place, really. Really anything that just made me feel a little different. You know what I'm saying? Music, you know how it is, man. Music's the only thing that can do that to you, take you to another place. Like, you know how it is. But yeah, just like Maggie said, man, kind of all over the place, just anything that really grabs me in a certain way, whatever way that may be, I'm influenced by,
Yeah, when I first heard
But
you guys,
definitely the
Tedeschi
biggest one
Trucks
song
Band
together.
came to mind. Do you like that comparison?
For me personally, I'm a huge Susan Tedeschi fan. So, I grew up listening to her, and I get why a lot of people might compare the two. But it goes to show that, like, when you're influenced by, certain people, we're all sharing information, So I can't be mad when people compare us, though I don't want to be another Tedeschi Trucks Band. It's definitely flattering for me to hear that we get that comparison.
Yeah, and same here. Derek is probably the biggest reason him and Dwayne Allman, they're probably the biggest reason that our plays are. The Allman Brothers Band released an album called Getting a Note in 2003 that has a song called Desdemona on it. And Derek's solo in that song just changed my life, man. And the first time I heard it, I literally said to myself, that's what I want to do. I want to play, man. I've been playing like maybe like 6 months at that point, so I couldn't even tune the guitar yet, but just made it a goal, a lifelong goal to be able to sing the guitar as opposed to play it. But yeah, man, I mean, Derek's one of my, he's a great, as Maggie said about Sue, I grew up listening to him, so, he's like, that influence is so deep that, it's there. I try to get away from it, and I want to play me, you know what I mean? But, we're all guilty of it, being compared or comparing someone, so, but again, as Maggie said, it's flattering, but, we're trying to be ourselves,
Yeah, you guys just released your debut EP. Is there any full-length album in the works right now?
There is actually. We actually have another meeting right after this to discuss just that. So yes.
And you guys got connected with Paul Reed Smith. He produced this album. How did you guys hook up with him?
There's a guitar store in Lexington called Guitars, and gosh, for the past like 10 years, or so, they've been like one of the top 5 PRS dealers in the world. And so, anyways, we were asked to play their 50th anniversary event, and Paul was there. So It was so weird, man. I could go on about this. The first time I heard Desdemona, as I told you a while ago, that changed my life. First time I heard that song, I was actually on my way to Wilco Guitars for the first time. And then years and years later, on a Saturday morning, I had this old Gretsch resonator that I used like on 2 sessions and never played it. Didn't need strings or anything. I was living in Richmond, Kentucky at the time, so it was like a 40-minute drive to Wilco. So I just drove up there. Didn't need anything. Had no idea why I was going. I mean, obviously I do now, but I'd always played Stratocasters. You know, I'd cut my teeth on a Strat. But went in the bag, man, and there was this gold S2 standard 22 on the wall that had this little small ding by the input jack. So it was like scratch and dip, 10% off. And I said, you know, what the hell, picked it up, played it, and within 5-6 seconds, I was like, man, I have to have this guitar. So ended up putting it in layaway and trading that resonator in on it. But anyways, that'll make sense. I'll make a point here in a second. But anyways, so we were asked to play the 50th anniversary, you know, there. And the Christmas before, Maggie's fiance had bought her Zach Myers model PRS. So we were already both playing PRS guitars, which I think obviously Paul dug, you know. But so we played, and he ended up liking the band, and Brent Mason was there that day as well. So we were tearing down, and it was so weird, man. It was just like this full circle moment. Was tearing down, you know, tearing the gear down off stage because Paul and Brent were doing a master class right after our set. And Paul had mentioned something about, he said, man, you know, you need some different pickups in that guitar, and talking about recording. And he was like, I'd love to have you all play Experience. You know, every 2 years they have an open house there at PRS called Experience PRS. And we really didn't give it much weight, didn't think about it too much. But the next question he asked me, he said, have you ever heard that song Desdemona by the Allman Brothers? And it floored me, like, of all the things that he could ask, why would he ask that? And it was just like this full circle moment of, you know, like I said, the first time I heard that song was the first time I went there. That's where I got the first PRS. That's where we met Paul at. And then he asked me that question. You know, it's like, just, you know. But yeah, that's how we met Paul.
Cool. So obviously it's been tough lately for all musicians right now. You know, obviously touring is not really a viable option, but you guys did recently get to go out and play like a real full-on gig. What was that experience like?
Maggie, you wanna
Yeah.
answer that? Or?
We got to play at the Burl, which is also another local venue of ours, one of our favorites. And it was awesome the way they're doing the thing. I mean, I feel sorry for a lot of other bands that, you know, aren't getting the opportunity to play a show like this, because the way their property sits, it's really perfect. They have the Burl, and then right across from it, they have an arcade area that also serves food. So they use their parking lot area to set up tables of 6 feet apart. Very, very professional way of doing the thing, because you can order a drink from your table. You don't have to get up, and it really made me as an artist, you know, I have a young baby with this pandemic going around. It's scary. So even throughout the whole pandemic, we have had like little offers here and there to do private events, and I've been skeptical because it is scary, but they made us feel really comfortable, and I think the audience, you know, got to feel that comfort and ease as well. So getting back up there was just surreal because we had such an awesome summer planned out, and heartbroken by all the events that were canceled. That show this past Sunday was our biggest show pretty much for the entire year. So you could tell a lot of our fans were ready, and we were just geared up and ready to go, and it was a good feeling to be back up on stage for sure.
Yeah, man, they were very, very, very professional about it, as they are with everything. That's why they've been successful. They treat everyone right. They're honest and upfront about everything. But when they were setting the parking lot up as we were sound checking and all that stuff, I mean, they measured everything off. They had a 100-foot tape that they were measuring tables each and every way, man. I mean, it's just they done it right, and actually the governor approved the setup, so which made everyone feel safe, but also at the same time it was still a show experience, so we were very grateful, and just, oh man, it was a wonderful, wonderful night. Still reeling from it.
Have you guys dabbled with online shows, and what are your thoughts on performing online shows?
Yeah, we have done 3 or 4 live streams now. The first one that we done was at again, unfortunately, Cosmic Charlie's that's now closed due to the pandemic. I'm afraid a lot more smaller venues like that are going to, man. Hope and pray they don't, but that was the first one that we done, and it was really weird the first time, because here we are set up on stage ready to play a show, and there's like 3 people, what I'm saying? Like there's nobody in there. So
What's the feeling like right after a song is finished? When people are usually going to be cheering, how just weird is it, the fact that there's just like nothing?
there's just silence. Oh man, I'm not sure how to explain. It's a very odd feeling, to say the least. I don't know,
Personally,
man.
I personally can't stand it because as for us, we're really a live band. Like we do best when there's an audience, when we're feeding off the audience. So and a lot of the times I'm the only one with a mic too. So silence. I don't do very well with words. I can sing, but don't ask me to talk when I'm on stage because it just turns out funny. And so there's been a lot of opportunity for some very awkward moments for me personally when there's no crowd. So not a fan.
Yeah, it's definitely a different experience.
We recently done. Sorry,
Go ahead, Gregg.
We recently done this show for TOF Productions. It's called stands for Tree of Forgiveness, I believe. Anyways, this guy named Vito, I forget his last name, but it's a really interesting way that he's doing it. It's a live stream show, and from 7 to 8 p.m. it's like a VIP thing where the band plays a couple of songs, and then from 8 to however long, 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever, is your regular set. But all the technical stuff I can't really say because I really don't know. I'm not really good with that. But what makes it cool is that the show is interactive. So it's sort of like a Zoom thing, but after each song, the audience, we set up a TV and can hear them clapping and stuff like that, and actually see them on screen. Like some people were dancing in their homes, and after each song, people would clap and give a response and ask questions and stuff like that. So I personally think that it's a wonderful idea, and hopefully it catches on, you know. If this pandemic continues, I hope the pandemic ends so we can get back to something normal. But, you know, I really enjoyed that. And actually, we have another one coming up with him on December the 3rd. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, it's interesting to say the least, man. But at the same time, grateful to have an opportunity just to be able to play, man. You know.
Absolutely. Now, before we let you guys go, where can people check out your music?
You can go to our website, magnoliaboulevardband.com. We actually just got some brand new merchandise. Go check that out. We got some hoodies and beanies, all kinds of stuff, and you can check it out there on our website. The website was recently revamped as well, so brand new website, brand new merch. Of course, Facebook, you know, Instagram, all that good stuff, YouTube, you know.
Spotify,
Pretty
Apple,
much.
iTunes, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, bro.